Rappoport sitting in for Alex Jones on the Alex Jones Show. Welcome. We've got stories, new stories, old stories, all kinds of stories. My name is Jon Rappoport, again, sitting in for Alex Jones. I'm an investigative reporter. You can find my material at nomorefakenews.com. Produced a film recently, American Addict. Prescription Addiction in America will be premiering at the Seattle International Film Festival, May, June of this year, and also a 10-hour audio seminar you can pick up on my site called Vaccines, Armed and Dangerous. Okay, enough with the plugs. I've got to start with Joe Biden. I mean, Joe is just too good to be true. I don't know why people don't follow this guy around 24 hours a day, because if anybody could be more wrong, I don't know who it is. Joe says that the plan to kill bin Laden was the most audacious plan in the last 500 years. Wow, Joe. In the last 500 years. Especially, I suppose, if bin Laden were already dead when the special forces went in there. And I've been asking for a long time now, ever since this raid, where is the dialysis machine? You know, people were saying, well, we want evidence that bin Laden was really there, and can you provide us any evidence? Well, according to all these sources who claimed that he was still alive and didn't die in 2001, he was receiving dialysis. He was always on the verge of dying. He was dying, when was it? In 2001, when the CIA visited him in a hospital in Europe? So where's the dialysis machine that they got from the house, the bunker in Pakistan? Never heard anything about it. Anyway, Joe says the most audacious plan in the last 500 years, which I assume means since the year 1500 or so, if my math is correct, nothing has even begun to rival this. Not the American Revolution, not D-Day. Take your pick. Joe, as always, is right on the money. And he says that the reason this is the most audacious was that there was something like a 48% chance of success of the mission. I'd really like to see how they calculated that down. And that if it had failed, Obama would certainly have been a one-term president. Really, Joe? He just said, well, we raided, we didn't make it, but we're still looking onward. Anyway, always got to lead with Joe. But let's get a lot more serious here and talk about a story that's up right now at Infowars.com. Aborted babies are being chopped up and sold to researchers all over America. Did you hear that? Aborted babies are being chopped up and sold to researchers all over America. This is actually nothing new, but we have new revelations. Fetuses at 10 or 20 weeks, aborted in clinics. Cells are shipped all over the U.S. to medical researchers. We're talking about brain cells in particular here, but not only that. The brain cells are injected into the eyes of patients with macular degeneration. Practice of shipping organs and body parts, of course, has been going on for a very, very long time. In fact, you'll see a link in the story on Infowars.com where aborted fetuses still alive had to be killed in order to harvest their body parts. So read that article, check out the links. This is part of the medical complex. This is what is happening in America and all over the world, and we're going to dig very deep into the medical cartel here today. This is why I'm here. Jon Rappoport, investigative reporter, sitting in for Alex Jones. We're going to go to a break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Jon Rappoport sitting in for Alex Jones today. We've got another big story up on Infowars and also via Natural News. Jacob Styler, 9-year-old boy in Michigan, treated for cancer, then the scans were clear. No cancer. The Michigan Department of Human Services tried twice to force Jacob to have further chemotherapy with 3 drugs that admittedly have the risk of causing cancer. They lost. They lost their case. The Styler family won. But, of course, the Michigan Department of Human Services didn't stop. They're back again. They've appealed the case. Now, the parents don't want Jacob to have more chemo. And on top of this, these 3 drugs, these 3 chemo drugs, are not approved for use in children. Do you get this? How this is working here, folks? I mean, this is like somebody knocking on your door. You open it. He's got a gun and he says, I've got a canister of poison here and I want you to drink it now. Because it's good for you. This is exactly what's going down here in Michigan. Jacob Styler, 9-year-old boy, treated for cancer. The scans are now clear, but the doctors don't like this. They want to do more chemo with 3 drugs that have the potential to cause cancer. And who are they being backed by? The government. Hello. Michigan Department of Human Services has gone to court twice, and now the 3rd time on appeal. The parents don't want their son to have more chemo from drugs that can cause cancer, drugs that have not been approved for children. Nobody seems to care in the government. In fact, they're forcing this, literally forcing it. Lesson, moral of the story, this is what is waiting for you and your children and your grandchildren up the road with national health care insurance, with Obamacare. I've been making this point for the last year and a half. More and more people seem to be listening finally. Don't you understand what this is really all about, national health insurance? This is about forcing you to take only standardized treatments. And who decides that? The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. This treatment is okay. This treatment you can't do. In fact, this treatment over here you must do. And if you don't, we kick you out of the program, and who knows, you could be put in jail, you could be fined, because you're all in the system now. Everybody's in the system. You're all on this program. You see, everybody's been touting this insurance as it's the most wonderful thing in the world. And it gives everybody what they need. It gives them health care. It gives them medical care. It gives them all this wonderfulness that we all need and want and love from cradle to grave. Yeah, that's the cover story, folks. The actual story is it gives the pharmaceutical and medical cartel an opportunity to make you into a cipher, a number, and force treatments down your throat and make enormous profits at the same time, and also claim what treatments are not available. So you could be next. They could come to your door and they could say, guess what? We're going to give you chemo. No, you're not. Oh, yes, we are. Oh, yes, we are. We're going to go to court to insist on it because you're under the National Health Insurance Plan. You've got to do it. Well, you say, I want to present evidence in court that this doesn't work, that these 3 drugs can actually cause cancer, the ones that you put me on, and they haven't been approved for use, in my child, whom you want to poison with these drugs. Well, certainly, sir, you can have your day in court, and then you go to court, and guess what you find out? Guess what you find out? You're not permitted to present any evidence. Evidence is not the issue, you see. The truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. The only thing that matters is the law. And the law is that you're now part of the system, part of the program. You can't opt out. That's the law. And your betters, the people who know far more than you do about science and medicine and so forth, have set the standards for what treatments are available and what you must get as treatment and what you can't get. So some judge is going to listen to you argue the merits of these chemo drugs? You, a lay person? Are you kidding? Do you seriously think that you're going to get your day in court? I've been in court when this kind of thing happened. I've seen the federal government operate on people who they didn't want to allow to get out from under the thumb, the big iron fist of certain medical treatments, or who were going the other way on natural treatment. I've seen this come down. So Jacob Steiler, 9 years old from Michigan, is now being defended by a homeschooling legal association, and they're trying to get him off the hook so that he doesn't have to take 3 poisonous chemo drugs that can cause cancer when his cancer scans are completely clear. He's got to go to court to try to defend himself at 9 years old, so to speak, to live a healthy life, to not be killed by these drugs, because that's what we're talking about, to not be killed by these drugs. Sir, I'm 9 years old, and I'd like not to be killed by these drugs. May I speak? No, son, you may not. We know what's good for you, and this is what's going down. This is what is going down. Is this the first time something like this happened in the United States? Of course not. It's happened many times before. In fact, in the state of Michigan, there was another family that didn't want their child, this is now going back 15, 20 years, to be forced to take AZT, which was a failed chemotherapy drug that causes cells in the body to stop reproducing. And they had to go justify themselves over and over again. And the last I was informed, they had escaped by the skin of their teeth. But this is the medical police state America that's coming down, folks. And this is Jon Rappoport sitting in for Alex Jones on The Alex Jones Show today. You can find my work at nomorefakenews.com. We're getting deeply, by degrees, into the medical cartel. Why is that so important? Because they are the leading edge of the New World Order. Or, if you want to call it something softer, the de facto global management system. And why are they the leading edge? Because they don't look political. They don't look left, they don't look right, they don't look center, they look neutral. We're the scientists. We're the priests in the white coats. We are the biggest religion on the planet. And you listen to us and you do what we say. This is body control, operant conditioning, programming, mind control, that the doctor has control over your life. That by feeding you debilitating toxic pharmaceuticals, which we'll go into in depth later on, eventually you will become so fuzzy, so debilitated, so unable to think, so disabled, that you will be one of millions and billions of people like you all over the planet who are, in capital letters, easy to control. This is called population control. That's what the medical cartel ultimately is all about. And this story about Jacob Steiler is just the tip of the iceberg on that. So let's flip over to the other side of the coin here. A story about somebody who survived when he should have been dead by conventional means because his mother went to something alternative, not exactly approved by the fascist dictators who decide what you can do with your own body and what you can't do. This is a story I covered some years ago out of Florida. A 15-year-old boy who was found by his mother literally drowned in the swimming pool, rushed to the hospital, put on machines to keep him alive. After a couple of days, the doctors came up to the mother and they said, well, you know, shaking their heads, there's nothing we can do now. You can keep him on the machines, but really he's dead. She didn't accept that. This was a woman with guts from here to the moon. So she began to go around, knocking on doors, knocking down doors, looking for alternative treatments. What could she possibly find? One thing after another, while her son was still on the machines, and the doctors were telling her to take him off. She finally found a doctor who said that hyperbaric oxygen might help. It's a treatment. You get in a tank, you receive oxygen from somebody who's trained, not just somebody off the street, in how to administer oxygen at slightly higher pressure than at sea level. It was originally developed by the U.S. Navy to cure the bends. And that, the thesis went, oxygen might be able to get to aspects of the brain where the cells appeared to be dead, but they were actually only idling, like the motor of a car. This thesis was put forward by Dr. Richard Neubauer of Florida, Lauderdale by the Sea, who is a pioneer in extending the uses of hyperbaric oxygen. Okay, so the mother goes back to the doctors and she says, and I've met her, okay? This is not just something I'm reading in the newspaper. We've talked extensively. We're going to go to a break here in about 30 seconds, but I'm going to tell you when we come out on the other side of the break what happened here with this child in hyperbaric oxygen, because as a reporter, it was one of the more astonishing things that I've ever experienced in my life, up close and personal. Jon Rappoport sitting in for Alex Jones. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Talking about Ryan, a 15-year-old boy, on machines, dead. The doctor said, as good as dead. His mother's going around. She finds somebody who's got a theory about hyperbaric oxygen. You get in a tank, somebody who really knows what they're doing is a technician. Maybe this can wake up brain cells that were thought to be dead but are actually idling. So I hear this story, and she tells me that indeed she managed to force, literally, this is a big hospital, they've got this kid on machines, to transport him to another clinic where he's going to get hyperbaric oxygen. If you don't think that's a Herculean task, you try something like that sometime. Well, she pulled it off. 50 or 60 treatments with oxygen later, she tells me, her son is still alive after being pronounced dead, and he's off the machines. So, you know, do I believe this as a reporter? Do I not believe it? She says, let's talk. We meet in Los Angeles. We're sitting, I remember this very clearly, sitting by a fountain in West LA. We're talking, very engaging woman. My son is alive. I'm saying yes, 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 but, you know, I mean, the doctor said he was dead. She says, well, here we go. And I turned around, and there's her son, 15 years old, walking toward me. Now, I've confirmed the other parts of the story, so I know what happened before this. I know that what she's telling me is so. He's alive. He's walking. He walks up to me. He shakes my hand. This is a kid who drowned in a swimming pool, who was put on life support. The doctor said, no chance. And an alternative treatment was tried. The kid is now alive. His gait as he walks is somewhat awkward. When he talks, I'm not able to understand everything he says, but his mother can understand every single word he says, and they're going back and forth like gangbusters, right? The kid is alive. Without that treatment, there would have been no life for him. I mean, you know, it's like you're off, you're on. You're off, you're on. You're dead, you're alive. And I'm bringing this story up in contrast to the Jacob Styler case of the 9-year-old who's being forced, if the court wins, to be poisoned with 3 chemo drugs. Because I'm also telling you that this whole national health insurance fiasco plan, op, as they say in the intelligence racket, it's an op, an operation, is designed to force you into a system where you must take certain treatments, many of which will be extremely toxic, and you will be denied treatments that you would want to explore on your own, such as the one that saved the life of this 15-year-old Ryan with hyperbaric oxygen. Yes, no, on, off. This is the strategy. This is what is going on up the road. This is what is waiting for you. Yes, the death panels and so on and so forth, but behind all of that, and I'm basing this on 30 years of experience as a medical investigative reporter into fraud, into deep conspiracy, if you will, and I will. They are going to tailor and shape and list all of the treatments that will be permitted and not be permitted for every single condition under the sun that you can imagine. They've already said it as much. I mean, it's an open story. Department of Health and Human Services, a cabinet post under the president. They decide. The pharmaceutical cartel, of course, wants to eliminate alternative medicine and alternative health in the form of nutrients, herbs, nutritional supplements. That's their burgeoning competition. So what do they do to eliminate it? Why was the pharmaceutical cartel so behind this whole idea of nationalized health insurance? Well, of course, on the one hand, they get paid. They're guaranteed to get paid. But on the other hand, they can shape the future of all medical treatment and deny you what you really want and force down your throat what can hurt and even possibly kill you. Jon Rappoport, sitting in for Alex Jones. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a very special guest.
If you believe in this information and want to support its viral spread, go to the InfoWars store at InfoWars.com. We've got the new G.I. Joe InfoWars t-shirts. We've got the incredible Pro Pure gravity-fed filters available at InfoWars.com in the store. We've got a new DVD, Scientists Under Attack, the Don't Tread on Me flag. We've got all sorts of different bumper stickers to help spread the rebellion virally. It's all there, wristbands, citizen rule books in every order. Order online at InfoWars.com today. The water filters, the canteens, it's all there. InfoWars.com.